What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to The Next Rep Off. I'm Samuel Francis, host and founder of The Next Rep Off podcast, and currently serving as Assistant Youth Publishing Director for Georgia Cumberland Conference. On this channel, I help canvassers and students get to the next level in their canvassing experience and become more effective missionaries for Jesus Christ. So, hey, if that's something you're interested in, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing. Today's focus is how to properly train your students. This is an essential step on your leadership journey. So let's take it together with this training session. I started leading back in 2010. It was a winter program. I wasn't by myself. Again, got to shout out Renita. She was there, and I was kind of helping out, getting groomed, trained to be a full driving leader and everything for that following summer. So, working with Renita and that winter program, I kind of felt like I got it, so to speak. Little did I know, I actually did not get it. I was, what's the word? I don't even know what the word is. I was surprised with the workload that came in the summer of 2011, where I thought I had everything I needed. I thought I was ready. I was excited. I was like, yeah, I'm going to be a leader, da da da. Little did I know how much work went into really fully not just being a leader, but being a good leader, a great leader. And that's what I want to emphasize. I want to highlight that right now. There are so many leaders who think that becoming a leader, you magically acquire all of the necessary character traits to become a great leader. And it's just not the way it works. That's what I thought. But I was in for a rude awakening. It takes time, right? I had the desire to do better. I had all of the excitement that you would think comes with leadership, but the results I was getting didn't match my enthusiasm. It didn't match my desire for greatness. And so I just don't want you to step into leadership with high hopes of thinking everything is going to go smooth, not realizing that becoming a lion mode leader, becoming an excellent leader, it takes time. It takes time. One of the examples that I always like to use is when you're making bread. Back at the school I used to go to, I was the baker. And so I would make bread for the entire campus. And I learned so many precious lessons in the process. If you've ever made bread or anything you've had to bake, you know that having all of the ingredients together is just one step in the process. When you're making bread, you have to mix those ingredients together. You've got to knead the dough, right? These are all steps in the journey. These are all parts of the process. And then you put it in the oven. But even when you put it in the oven, your work is not done. You've got to leave it in the oven for just the right amount of time and then take it out. You've got a finished product if you take it out at the right time. What happens with leading is that somehow we feel like we've been told we have the potential. We've experienced a little bit of success and we think that we're just ready to go, not realizing that, again, to become an excellent leader, it takes time. Have you ever had soggy bread? Oh, it's disgusting. Hate it. It's not good, right? I've seen soggy leaders, right, that are half-baked because they thought they were ready to step into greatness, when in reality, they were just in process, right? I like to say that leadership is a journey, not a destination, right? You're going to be leading soon, whether it be a winter or summer program or some blitz program, you're going to be leading. Hey, great, awesome. You're excited, awesome. Hey, I'm excited for you. Just understand that your transformation journey, it's going to take time. What happens so often is that today we're in such a rushed society where everything is instantaneous. We get everything so quickly that we carry those same expectations into leadership when it's exactly the opposite. To become a great and excellent leader, like I've been saying this whole time, it takes time. And so you don't want to be half-baked. You've got the ingredients, you've got the potential, great. Now it's time to get in the oven. Now it's time to allow God to mold you and to try you and to prepare you through obstacles, through disappointments, through challenges, through successes, right? All of those things mixed together, baked in the oven, right? is going to produce an excellent loaf of bread. And that's my goal and hope and desire for you, that through these training sessions that you'll be able to acquire part of what you need. Because you could watch all the training videos in the world. The real magic happens when you're in the moment. These videos are just designed to get you ready to give it your best when you're out there leading your students. One thing I know about lion mode leaders is that they're always hungry. They're always wanting to improve. They're always wanting to do better, to get better, to deliver life-changing, transformational, spectacular experiences for their students every program. As far as I'm concerned, I really don't care how many programs you may have led, whether you're experienced, whether you're brand new. The fact is that Jesus hasn't come back yet. What does that tell me? That tells me there's more people to reach. There's more territory to conquer. There's more students to train. There's more in store. Lion mode leaders are always hungry for more. They're never satisfied, right? They may have had a successful program. Great, praise God. Now they're ready for the next one. They're always looking to improve and to do better. That's a lion mode leader. And that's what I'm here for, to help you become a lion mode leader. All of what I'm talking about is only accomplished by God's grace. Jesus Christ is the true lion mode leader. He is the lion of the tribe of Judah, and that is our example. He's our model. Lion mode leaders are like Christ. So while we are going to be specifically talking about how to train your students, I just want you to keep in mind, at the end of the day, we want to be like Jesus in everything that we do. That being said, let's dive right into today's topic, how to train your student. Now, before we start the presentation, if you want to follow along with everything that I'm saying, I'm sure you're going to be taking notes. Great. I highly encourage that. But I made it just a little bit easier for you. If you look in the description section below, you're going to find two PDF documents, absolutely free. You can just download them. The first one is an outline of everything that I'm going to be talking about today. I'm going to go over 10 principles of training for home-based training, and then 3 principles for in-field training. Every point that I'm going to be going over, you can find it in that PDF document, and then you can add your notes onto that just to make it a little bit easier. The second document is a document that was put together by Camille Metz from the Michigan Conference. Right now he's in pastoral ministry, but for many, many, many years, he was heavily involved leading out in the canvassing work, the publishing ministry. And this document, I've used it for years, training my students, training my programs, and I know it's going to be a blessing for you. It goes over week by week, day by day, exactly what to be focusing on. It gives you ideas, tips on how to train your students. This document is a must-have. Like, you got to have this if you want to train your students for success. Again, it's right in the description section below. You can download that now just so you can have that for your resources. Let's start out this training session building a biblical foundation for training. Here's a verse that you've seen before, but maybe you haven't seen it in this light. It's Proverbs chapter 22, verse 6. Very well-known verse. It says, "Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it." We're so used to hearing that verse in reference to parenting and child raising, but this verse also applies to education and, more specifically, for our context, for training. The training that you give to your students is going to mold the experience that they will have in canvassing. I've heard students talk about, yeah, I tried canvassing, I didn't really have a good time, da da da. And when I ask a couple more questions, I realize that they either had very little training or no training at all, right? Things that they just got inspired to go out and canvass. So without any training, they just decided to take some books and go out door to door. And of course it didn't go well for them, because canvassing it requires skill. To be a good canvasser, you've got to be trained. You got to be trained. And so the type of training that you give to your students is going to determine what kind of experience they have. And so you want to make sure you're giving your students quality training, the best training. And that's what I want to deliver for you in this video. Train up a child, train up a student in the way they should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. In other words, what you put in, what you instill in your student is how they're going to perform, right? Of course, it's going to take time. We're going to talk about how to make sure that what you're giving and training them, they actually do. It takes time, like I said, but this Bible verse is a foundation for training students well. Train up a child in the way he should go. When he is old, he will not depart from it. There are two phases to training. You have home-based training. That's the training that happens generally in the beginning of the program and before you go out to campus. And then you have in-field training. That's the training that happens in the field, basically. They're both equally important. You can't have one without the other, right? There's no way to just do home-based training and not work with your students in the field, and vice versa. You can work with your students in the field all day, but without that added component of home-based training, they're not going to feel prepared. It's essential to do both in-field training and home-based training. Just to go over these pictures here. Man, that picture, that first one for home-based training, that's a picture of my friend Daniel Arroyo. He's doing great in business, publishing his own Bible. Shout out to Humble Lamb. And this is 2014. This is 10 years ago. We were working together. He's put in many years into the canvassing work. Shout out to you, Daniel, and I appreciate your help in just making the program successful. That was one of the successful programs I led. Had a really great time leading in Warner Robins. That picture is with Joshua. We called him Hot Sauce. Oh man, Joshua Hendricks. Man, we had a great time. I believe it was 2015. I want to say 2015. In that program there, working with Joshua Hendricks. Man, I hope you're doing great. But yeah, there's just a little bit of backstory to those pictures. Let's keep on going. Let's keep on going with canvassing. Now, listen. Let me give you an overview of the skill progression of canvassers. Right? Of course, it's every leader's dream to have a program full of experienced students. But how often do we get that? Right? Come on, let's be honest. That's why it's essential to train your students so that they can become those excellent canvassers. There are three, levels I want to go over: beginner, intermediate, and advanced, and go over some of the characteristics of each. So when it comes to a beginner canvasser, I expect them to know the canvas, right? Word for word, they got to know it, word for word. Of all the books, this includes the close, this includes the door approach, this includes even knowing the prices as well. Know the canvas, right? That's one of the basic five, right? The next thing is they know the basic five. Maybe I'll do a video on the importance of the basic five. Who knows? Maybe I'll do that. But a beginner canvasser, they know the canvas, they know the basic five. They also understand the instructions. How many of you have had students where you give them pretty clear instructions, but somehow they end up in a completely different neighborhood? Right? It's like, how did you get here? Right? A well-trained beginner canvasser understands instructions. Of course, it takes time again, but by the end of the summer, their first summer, they should know how to follow the curve. They should know how to work to the T, cross over, come back. They should understand basic instructions. They can meet common objections like not interested, no money, can you come back later? I'll do a separate video on how to meet those objections, but those videos will be more so training resources for students. I want to go over how do you know where your canvasser is at, right? As you are training your student, helping them develop, how do you know where they're at? Are they beginner? Are they intermediate? Are they advanced? These are some of the qualities and characteristics, all right? They can meet common objections, beginner canvassers, and they know the prices, okay? This is the profile, so to speak, of a beginner canvasser. Of course, there are other things that go along with this, but this is how you can recognize a well-trained beginner canvasser. Now, building on this foundation, this is what an intermediate canvasser should be able to do. The intermediate canvasser can easily make friends and read people. The beginner canvasser, they can say the canvas, right? They can say it, but they're using so much energy just to say it right that they're missing some cues that the person could be giving just with their facial expression, body language. They're just kind of going through the canvas because they got to say the canvas, right? An intermediate canvasser who's got a little more experience, they can easily make friends first, right? And throughout the canvas, and read people. These are skills that we're developing. The intermediate canvasser can point out facts and features for each book, right? So the beginner canvasser They're going to tell you the canvas, they know the canvas. Facts and features for the book, they may not be so familiar with, right? They know the canvas. They know that the cookbook is about cooking, but the intermediate canvasser can point out that if you look at the end of the book, there's actually a meal plan where you could actually plan out the meals. That's a feature of the book. The intermediate canvasser can point out the fact that, hey, all of these recipes, it shows you the nutrition facts. There's actually gluten-free recipes, and they're actually located right here in this section, right? The intermediate canvasser can actually point out facts and features for each book. It goes deeper than just knowing the canvas. You see what I'm saying? The intermediate canvasser consistently delivers sets of books. They understand that if they want to reach their 15, 20, 25, 30 plus book goals, they're not going to do it one by one. The intermediate canvasser understands that in order to reach your goals quickly, you got to do sets. And they're consistently beginning to deliver 2-book sets, 3-book sets, and as they gain experience, bigger and bigger sets. Absolutely. The intermediate canvasser is not easily discouraged. Canvassing is hard. You know that. Beginner canvassers tend to get discouraged pretty easily. The intermediate canvasser, they've already been through it. They know people are going to say no. They know most people are not interested. And so they just kind of brace themselves. They don't take it personal. They don't take rejection personal. The intermediate canvasser is not easily discouraged. That's a skill. Self-motivation, I would say, is a skill. And it's an important skill if you're going to be successful in the canvassing work. Okay, so this is kind of like the profile of an intermediate canvasser. Now, building on this foundation, how do you know you've got an advanced canvasser on your hands, right? The advanced canvasser is in tune with the Holy Spirit to know which books to give. It's one thing to know the canvas. It's another thing to just get a book out. But it's a completely different thing when you're in tune with the Holy Spirit to know this person needs In Search of Peace. I would love to give them Desire of Ages, whichever title your conference uses for that book. But based on our conversation, I feel like the Holy Spirit is impressing me to give you In Search of Peace, right? That's being in tune with the Holy Spirit. I can only get one book. Which one should I get, right? You'll have those people who, of course, they only have, all I have is 15. All I have is 20. Which one do you think I should get, right? Being in tune with the Holy Spirit is going to be able to tell you, is going to be able to, that canvasser is going to know which book to give instead of just, you know what, they just went through their whole life story. They just talked about how they want to get closer to God. And the canvasser decides, I feel like you need fighting disease with food. No, you hear those stories, right? Of course, beginner canvassers who they're just excited to see a $20 bill, right? Somebody wants to help out. Praise God. Look, take fighting disease with food. The advanced canvasser, like it says here, they're in tune with the Holy Spirit. They know how to craft sets for individuals. You understand? Yes. The advanced canvasser is going to juice territory. I'm sure you've had students. Again, I'm assuming you've led before, but if you're brand new to leading, you're going to have students who they know the canvas, they know what they need to do, but they burn through territory. And that is so annoying because you're expecting this drop to last an hour. 20 minutes later, they call you mobile one, ready for pickup. Whoa, 20 minutes? What? Right? The advanced canvasser knows how to talk to everybody. They're going to juice the territory. They're not going to burn it. Okay? Oh, it's one of the things that boil my blood when canvassers burn territory. It's like, take your time. Talk to everybody, right? And so when we talk about training, you want to train your students so that they get to this level where they're not burning territory. The advanced student can teach other students. As a canvassing leader, let's say every area of canvassing wasn't your strong point, right? Like, it's a general rule that the best canvassers don't always make the best leaders. You've been chosen to be a leader, not because you sold $500 worth of books every day. No, there are other more essential qualities that have been noted, and that's why you've been chosen to be a leader, that don't always translate into putting out 30, 40 books a day, right? So what makes an advanced canvasser is the ability to actually help other students. And the reason why I bring that up is, let's say you weren't one of those students. I wasn't a student putting out 30, 40 books a day, like consistently. No, that wasn't me, right? But I know students who did. So as a leader, what I did was I had them help out with training. Like, don't think that you have to do every single thing because you're the leader and you have to train on everything. No, you training them might not result in them becoming the best canvasser in everything, right? There may be a student who does excellent at parking lots. And let's say parking lots wasn't your thing. So instead of you training on parking lots, have that student that does very well in a parking lot train that day or that week on parking lots. The advanced student can actually help other students. He can actually train other students, and vice versa. You know, it may be industrial businesses. It may be mom and pops. Who knows, right? As a leader, you want to realize what your resources are and use them to the max potential. So if you realize that there's a deficit in you, man, doing businesses really wasn't my thing. I actually did better in houses. I mean, I'm not saying that for me, but if that's your story, then find out who does best in those environments and have them help you out with training. Does that make sense? All right, awesome. Great. Let's go to the next one. The advanced student is humble. We've went from beginner, intermediate to advanced, right? One of the key qualities of an advanced student is that they are like Christ. They're like Jesus. They've went from getting out 5 books a day, 10 books a day. They've leveled their way up. Now they're averaging 15. They're doing better. Now they're putting out 20 easy, 25, hitting 30, 35. Like, they are soaring, right? What's their attitude? Are they proud and boastful? Are they showing off to everybody? Hey, I got 30 books today. Ooh, I got 40 books today. Let's go. I'm a beast. You already know how I do, right? Are they proud and boastful? Or are they humble? Are they meek? Are they do they give the glory to God? Do they always thank God? Are they quiet about their success? Or are they loud about it, right? These are the things I notice in students. The student who's making a lot of money but is proud, they're not an advanced student, because one of the very first principles in the school of Christ is humility. So what did Jesus say in Matthew 11? He said, "Learn of me, for I am meek and lowly of heart," right? So the advanced student isn't just the student that makes a lot of money and they're putting out 30, 40 books a day. That's not your advanced student if they're not like Christ. Look at the character. This is what makes an advanced student. So there you have a general overview of the characteristics and qualities of beginner, intermediate, and an advanced student. Our goal is to take students from zero to hero, right? We want to develop them. This is not going to happen the very first summer. Okay, like I said, remember that reference I made to the bread? They may be excited, they may love canvassing, they may even have a powerful first summer, right? But you know that you got to leave bread in the oven in order for it to fully bake, all right? And so our goal is to help our students get to the advanced level. All right, let's move on to home-based training and how to actually make this happen. How are we going to help our students at home become excellent canvassers? So I'm going to go over 10 principles on how to make that happen. Number one, you want to be thorough with your training. As you train your students, don't just assume that they get everything you're talking about. There's so much that students have to keep in mind as they're going door to door. You know this. You were a canvasser. It can seem like a lot of information is coming your way. I got to memorize the canvas for all 12 of these books. I got to remember the prices. I got to remember instructions. I got to remember, what to say if the police come. There's so much, right? Especially if they're brand new, especially if they're shy. You see all the layers we're getting on top of this? So you want to be thorough with your training, whether they're brand new or if they have experience, right? So you'll have students that will say, oh yeah, I canvassed last summer in this program or in that conference. I canvassed before. Don't just think that because they have experience that they have good experience, because they may have learned some bad habits. For example, entering into homes and not telling the leader, not leaving their bag outside. They may be marshmallowing at the doors. Oh, they canvassed last summer, but they never learned how to find that balance, right? And not marshmallow. Uh, and we could go on and on down the list. But as you're training your students, make sure to be thorough in the training that you give them so that they can healthfully, steadily progress from beginner to intermediate to advanced. All right? The only way to do that is to be thorough. You can't skip steps. Don't just think that because they canvassed before that, oh, okay, they know, unless they canvass with you in your program, in your conference, and they know how you work, then don't assume that they learned what they need to learn, okay? Be thorough. Again, also be balanced as well, because I don't want you to take this point too far and it's week 3 and you're leaving to canvas at 3 o'clock because, hey, Samuel said, be thorough. So I'm going to make sure they know everything before they go out. All right, hold on. You got to have a balance, right? There's no way to learn to swim on land. You gotta get into the water. Yeah, there's basic theory or whatever. You gotta just jump in at some point, right? So yes, I'm encouraging you to be thorough, also understand to be balanced in the fact that there's some things that only experience will teach you, right? How many objections have you heard? Like, hey, I haven't heard that in training, but you gotta think quickly, right? You gotta think quickly. There's some things that only experience will teach. All right, awesome. Let's go on to the next one. Keep it simple. Like I mentioned before, there's so much information that we want the canvassers to learn right away, real quick, that if we're not careful, we might be using language or training methods that can complicate things. As you're training your students, right, in that very first week especially, keep everything simple. Make it seem easy, right? Because when it seems easy, the students are actually more motivated to learn it. Complicated things, students kind of have to prepare for, like, okay, let me see if I can get this. Keep your training simple. So when it comes to prices, come up with easy ways to help them learn. Again, if you look in the description section below, you'll find a PDF where I go over a simplified canvas, a canvas that's super easy to memorize, super easy to learn. I've developed a pricing chart that's easy to learn, right? I've kept it simple. Now, of course, I encourage you to use the resources that your conference provides, but if this PDF can be a helpful resource to you, then use that as well. The point is, keep your training simple. When you're giving instructions, right? Instead of giving instructions like, all right, so what you're gonna do is you're gonna start here, I'm gonna have you work to the T, comb every side street, and when you get to the 3rd side street, I just want you to follow the curve. There's a little island in there. Once you finish that island, come back to your main road, keep combing, get to the T, staple the T. Once you staple the T, come straight back and I'll meet you right here. What? That's crazy. How do you expect them to memorize that? But you'll be surprised. Beginner leaders will give instructions that the student doesn't understand, right? So these principles are things you want to apply to everything that you do. Keep it simple. Keep it simple, right? That's going to help your students be trained better. All right, awesome. Let's keep it going. Number 3, be gentle, be patient. Not everybody learns at the same pace, and not everybody learns in the same way. Some students are a little more sensitive to correction than others. And I know you as a leader, you just want to get them trained and get them out there canvassing as soon as possible. Okay, I get it. But at the same time, you don't want to break them, right? Their confidence and their own belief in their ability to do it is so important. And you want to be careful not to break that, because if you do, then it's going to take even longer to build up their confidence to believe that they can actually do it. So in your training, be gentle and be patient at the same time. Look for ways to help the student learn the best way they learn, right? Because again, not every student learns at the same pace. Not every student learns the same way. Okay, so be gentle, be patient. Number 4, be creative and have fun. Like I said, we just stated that not every student learns the same way. So be creative in your training methods. And at the same time, make it fun. I can't tell you how much laughter I've had in the training sessions where you laugh at the mistakes instead of, harping down on it, like, no, do it right. You know what I'm saying? Have fun with your training. Okay. If you look at that PDF document that I've included there, again, it's right down there in the description section. In that document that Camille Metz put together, he goes over, if you look in Appendix A, he goes over various ways to help students learn the Canvas, like writing it down, having a ball. This is something I love using the ball, where you throw the ball, everybody's in a circle. All right, I'll start out with maybe a couple words of the Canvas and I'll throw it to somebody and they'll say the next couple of words, or they'll throw it to somebody else and they'll say another couple of words. That's fun. I love that. I had one of my leaders many years ago. We had a basketball court. We were staying in a gym. And so he had them lined up doing basketball drills, learning the Canvas at the same time. Make it fun. Make it fun. That's going to help your students memorize the Canvas. Be creative. There's no one way. There's many ways to get to the same destination. And that's how it is with learning the Canvas. The goal is that they learn the Canvas. How they learn the Canvas, be creative. Again, have fun with it. If you're looking for different ways, again, if you look in that document, you'll find many different ways on how to actually make that happen. All right, let's move on. Be repetitive. Be repetitive. I'm sure you've heard the phrase repetition deepens impression. It works the same way with canvassing. Don't think that, all right, we went over the Canvas, we learned all the canvases in one day. Okay, yeah, they memorized it all in one day. Tomorrow, ask them if they can give you the Canvas for Fighting Disease with Food, or In Search of Peace, or The Great Controversy. It may be, what's easy in is also easy out. So again, going back to principle number 1, be thorough, and at the same time, coming out of principle number 5, be repetitive. You're going to have to go over it over and over and over again just to make sure it sticks. Because remember, when they actually get to the door and those nerves kick in, oh my word, I know I can remember completely forgetting the Canvas and having to just make something up, right? But as I learned and trained and went over the drills, the Canvas got, it stuck more and more. And of course, as the nervousness goes down as well, you're able to think clearly, you're a little bit more in control of your words and what you're saying. But from the beginning, I don't want you to lay one layer of training down and just think, okay, hey, we went over this, so they get it. No, be thorough. Do the drills over and over and over again until it sticks. All right, awesome. Let's keep it going. We've got 5 more principles to go. We're halfway through. Number 6, take breaks. If you need to pause this video and take a break, you take a break, right? Do what you got to do. But when you're training your students, don't think that you have to go 3 hours. All right, we gotta go. We gotta get all this training mastered and memorized so we can go out to Canvas tomorrow. No, that's not how it works. It doesn't work that way. Even nature itself will teach you, you can't just eat all day. You can't just keep eating. We're not cows, okay? We don't have 7 stomachs. We have 1. You got to take a break. You eat, right? You wait a couple hours, let your stomach digest, eat again. All right, after you eat, you wait another couple hours. All right, stomach's empty. It can receive more food. You eat again. That's how it is with training. Our mind, it's really interesting. Our mind and our stomachs are connected. It's really interesting. And they work in similar ways, okay? Have you ever experienced information overload, right? You're studying for a test or a final or midterms, and it's like you get to a point where it's like your brain just like shuts down. The same thing can happen with canvassing and training, okay? I typically like to train for about 30 to 45 minutes, give them a 5 or 10 minute break, and then come back. Go for another 45 minutes, give them a 5-10 minute break, and then come back. So that way they have time to process information. They have time to relax, go to the bathroom, get water, right? Get a change of scenery. Go outside, get some fresh air, whatever it is, but let them have a break. All right, so I like to train in 45-minute blocks. Now, hey, you may have a different way. Maybe you like to do something different. But however you do it, I highly encourage to take breaks in the midst of your canvassing training so that again, they can retain it. Because don't think that just because you went 5 hours strong in canvassing training, that they got it and they memorized it and they remember everything. Number 1, be thorough. Number 5, be repetitive. All right, and of course, as we're going on now here, take breaks. All right, awesome. Let's go on to number 7, small challenges. So I like to add a little bit of suspense to when I'm training. So what does that mean? I'll say this, all right? After a certain point, let's say maybe this is day 2 or something like that, they should remember a little bit more. I'll say, all right, say the canvas, and if we mess up, we got to do 3 push-ups. So it's like, ooh, uh-oh, I got to really remember this because I don't want to do a whole bunch of push-ups or sit-ups or who knows, we'll run a lap. Hey, if we get this all right, we don't have to run a lap around the gym or around the church. Hey, like I said, with the other principles, be creative, but add a level of challenge to it to where they really don't want to mess up because then they'll have to do push-ups or jumping jacks or something like that. You understand? Incorporate small challenges into your training. Okay, let's go to number 8. Always congratulate. Always congratulate. Students, like I said, especially the shy ones, this really just applies to everybody in general. They're always looking for affirmation to know that they're actually making progress. So when they get it right, great job. You're doing great. You're doing marvelous. You said it perfectly. That's exactly how I want you to say it, right? Always congratulate them. Always build them up because this is going to overflow into when they actually go out to Canvas, knowing that their leader is proud of them, knowing that their leader believes in them and is encouraging them. That's going to help them do better on the field when you're not there. Okay, so always, always, always congratulate. All right, we're ready to move on to number 9. Number 9, have high standards. So this is very closely related with number 1, be thorough. Have high standards. Do not settle for mediocrity. As a lion mode leader, you expect nothing short of the best. Make sure your students know that. Be fun, be creative, take breaks, do all this, but at the same time, let them know, hey, I'm expecting you to memorize this canvas word for word. I'm expecting you to be able to say this canvas in under 60 seconds, including the close and the door approach. I'm expecting you to be able to do all this. Hey, have that high expectation because guess what? Your students will generally rise to the level of your expectation. So if in your mind you think, man, this is a lot. I don't know if they're going to be able to do it all. I don't know if they're going to be able to get everything. They will rise to the level of expectation that you set. So if you have low expectations, you can expect your students to reach your low expectations. If you have average expectations, like, all right, they'll be okay, they'll be average, then guess what? You can expect average students. Listen, lion mode leadership is designed to produce lion mode students, lion mode canvassers, lion mode programs, right? You want beast mode, you want excellence, right? How are you going to get there if you don't have that expectation? I'll tell you a little bit about my canvassing journey. When I first started canvassing in 2008, I had a good time. I enjoyed the experience. But to be honest with you, I was a low producing student. Not proud of it, right? I would get 2, 3 books a day, 4 books a day. I would make steady progression. I would get 5 books a day towards the middle of the summer, around 6 or 7 a little bit later. My highest day, my first summer was 10 books. I see students on their first week of canvassing hit 10 books. I see students doing so well, right? I did 10 books the last day of my first summer. Why? There really wasn't much of an expectation for me to do any better. We were so focused on doing the work of the Lord and just spreading the gospel. There really wasn't high expectation for me to, do better, right? When I met Renita, I'm always gonna make reference to Renita. She really helped me out. Hey, shout out to you, Renita. When I met Renita, she had high expectations of me. She expected, any of you who are watching this, who ever trained with Renita, you know she has high expectations. She expected the best, always. And when I got under her tutelage and her leadership, I noticed, hey, I'm starting to actually do better, put out more books, have a better time, right? Produce more. Why? Because she had a high expectation. Your students are going to be the exact same way. Again, I cannot say this enough. They are going to rise to your level of expectation. So as their leader and their trainer, have high standards. Expect the best. Okay? Awesome. Last but not least, the 10th principle in home-based training, right? This is home-based training. Mission mindset. I really want you to instill into the minds of your students that our objective, our goal is to save souls. We want to lead souls to Christ. through these books. We want to help the student understand our mission and objective. It's not just to get money, because, man, sadly, I've heard students who've been a part of programs where there was such an emphasis on money that they walked away with the impression that that's what canvassing is. And as we know, most students don't come back. If you have a program of 20 students, to have 50% come back is wow. That's amazing. Most people that try canvassing only do it one time. You want to make sure they have a good time, a good experience. And you want to make sure they understand the purpose of our work. It's not just to get money. It's not just to say, oh, I paid my bills. It's not just to say, oh, I bought a new phone, I bought a new computer, I bought a new car, whatever. No. I was a part of a soul-saving work. You've got to train this this is something you've got to train on, because many students who are now leaders entered the work. I have a friend of mine. He's leading out in a conference. He started canvassing because he heard about how much money he could make. And he's not alone. Many students, when they hear, oh, wait, you can make $3,000? You can make $5,000 in 10 weeks? I can make 10 grand or more? Hold up. Sign me up. What is this thing called? Canvassing? Yeah, sign me up. I'm down. Right? And then in the process, when they get to canvassing, they realize, wait a minute. Yes, I'm making money. Yes, I'm being able to pay for my bills and school expenses. But there's something deeper here. There's a greater purpose here. I'm actually seeing people's lives turn around. I'm actually seeing souls who are broken be restored through these books. I'm actually praying with people and seeing people have hope again. Like, that is the mindset of the canvasser, the true-hearted canvasser. And don't just assume that because they're there in a canvassing program that they're all spiritual and that they all just want to see souls saved and they all want to hasten the second coming of Jesus Christ. No, all right? You got some money-hungry students in there, and you need to train them to redirect that ambition, right? So that their ambitions are sanctified. There's nothing wrong with ambition, as long as it's for the master's glory, okay? And so this is something you've got to instill. Make sure they have a mission mindset. There's 2 quotes I want to share with you about that. And they're right here. Colporteur Ministry, page 6. It says this: the canvassing work properly conducted is what? Missionary work of the highest order. And it is as good and successful a method as can be employed for placing before the people the important truths for this time. The canvassing work properly conducted, listen, it's missionary work of the highest order. It's amazing. When you think about the Marines, when you think about the Army, we're talking about the Marines, we're talking about the Navy SEALs, we're talking about special forces, we're talking about secret services, you understand? We're talking about the elite, all right? That's what this work is. And so when you're talking about training your students, you want to apply all 10 of those principles in the home-based training to make sure that they're getting the best experience, because it says the canvassing work properly conducted is missionary work of the highest order. Right? There's a level of sanctity to this work. The next quote is from page 37, and it says, the canvassing work is a work of great responsibility. Let the canvasser remember that his work is evangelistic in its nature. This is not some money-making scheme. This is not get rich quick. This is not fill your pockets and run. No, this is evangelism. It's called literature evangelism for a purpose. Literature evangelism. You may get it. You're a leader, right? So I would assume that you get this. You can't assume that your students get this. This must be a part of training. Train your students to love souls. Train your students to hunt for the divine appointment and not just the $100. Train them to hunt for the divine appointment. Train them to hunt for that soul that's actually looking for Christ. That's the beauty. That's the joy of canvassing. All right. The money is just icing. It's just the sprinkles on top. The cake, the essence, the substance is soul saving. Okay. That's what you want to train them on. So we've gone over home-based training, right? Now let's transition into in-field training, which is an essential part of helping your students get from beginner to advanced. Okay, in-field training. Number one, you want to demonstrate first. Typically, when you approach the student in the field, they get nervous. Oh no, Mobile One's coming. He's gonna critique me. He's gonna see all my mistakes and my errors, and they get all jittery. And so, hey, that's how I was. Like, to be honest, I did not like when my leader came to work with me as a student. I was like, bro, what are you doing, bro? Just leave me alone. Just let me canvas, bro. Like, relax. I didn't like when my leader came to work with me, and I've worked with students who felt the same way. Like, bro, like, come on, bro, Mobile One, like, go away. I get it. So to combat that, it's crazy. To combat that, what I do is, as soon as I approach, I take their bag. Here, give me your bag. I'll canvas for you, right? And so they see it, their guards are down, it's a relief, right? It's not like, oh, here comes Level 1. No, I want the student to be excited. Again, there are students who it just doesn't matter. They don't want you to work with them. And there's not a whole lot you can do about that. Work with them one time to say, hey, I worked with them. And then after that, let them be. Like, hey, I turned out all right, right? And you'll have students the same way. But to combat that, like I said, what I do is I take the bag and I canvas for them. I demonstrate what I want them to do, right? That's what's going to help you with your in-field training. Of course, you're going to have those students who are excited. Hey, Mobile One's here. I can't wait to canvas Mobile One. Yes, you'll have those students too. I love those students. I love working with those students. Demonstrate first, right? So that they don't feel like you're just there to critique. You're just there to observe and to see what's happening. No, take the bag, give them a break, canvas, have a good time, demonstrate first, okay? This is what I do when I work with students in the field, okay? Now, after you've demonstrated first, you've emphasized the most important things that should be done as you're canvassing people. The next thing is to emphasize the good, because you're not just going to canvas for them and then leave. Well, you didn't really learn anything about why they may not be doing so well. The purpose of working with them is to help them get better. So if you just canvas, okay, yeah, their numbers may go up if you actually got books out, but you're not necessarily, you're giving them fish instead of teaching them how to fish, right? How does the saying go? You feed them once, you feed them for the day, you teach them how to fish, you feed them for a lifetime. It's that same concept with canvassing and working with your student. Yes, demonstrate first, but at some point you got to let them canvas. After you let them canvas, of course, there's still going to be a little bit of nerves. Right after they're done, right after you leave the door of the business or whatever, they're going to be asking you, all right, let me have it. What did I do wrong? Just go ahead and let me know. What can I do better? How can I improve? They typically ask those questions, but don't give in to the desire, because you may feel, well, they asked, so I'm going to let them know. You pull out your roll. Well, first of all, you didn't put the book in the hand immediately. Second of all, you got the prices wrong. Third of all, right, did you not notice the fact that they had kids? Fourth of all, and you just go down your list thinking you're doing them a service, but in all reality, you're actually hurting their progress, because you don't want to overwhelm them with so many things they're doing wrong. Instead, emphasize the good. So when they ask you, all right, what did I do wrong? How can I do better? Don't give in to that. Don't give in to that. Only talk about what they did right. Hey, you had a really big smile on. That was great. I love that. Hey, you offered to pray with them at the end. That was really, really good. I really like that. All right. You actually put the book in their hand. That's really good. And if those are the only three things they got right, they may have butchered the canvas. They may have gotten all the prices wrong. Don't panic. Don't go crazy. Focus on what they did well. Emphasize the good. Now, here's what you do next. Because you may be thinking, if you're one of those type A personalities, super critical, everything must be done this way. You may be thinking, okay, all that's good, but how are they supposed to know how to get better? This is how you do it effectively. Because you could just tell them everything they did wrong. But that's how you develop the reputation. Oh, here comes Mobile One, he's going to tell me what they did wrong. No. What you do is notice what they did wrong and say, all right, I'm the canvas. It's my turn. All right, you did a couple. Now it's my turn. At the next door, business or person in the parking lot, whatever, all of the things that they did wrong, you do right. right? Everything that they didn't do, make sure you do it, right? So when you go on to the next house, the next business after you canvas, now you can talk about what you did, if that makes sense. You're talking about what you did right instead of putting it in a way where they're interpreting it. Okay, this is what I did wrong. This is what I did wrong. This is whatever. No, you don't want them to be thinking about what I did wrong. You want to boost their confidence, boost their energy, boost their self-image, right? And you do that by you modeling the right way. Afterwards, talk about, did you notice how I showed the set, right? You saw how they were interested in that kid's book, right? Well, you know we have two other kids' books. You saw how I put the other two kids' books in their hands? That's really what you want to do. That's going to help you get sets out, right? You notice how when I said the prices, I was really confident. I didn't say words like or I wasn't thinking and scratching my head. How much do these books cost again? Did you notice how I was really confident? Talk about what you did right, and don't focus on you didn't do this right. Talk about what you did right. You understand? Talk about what you modeled that you saw that they didn't do. That's what's going to help your student do better, right? So now they're walking away with, wow, my Mobile One really knows what he's doing. Wow, like there's no better feeling than getting books out in front of your students. Like all of this stuff you talk about at home-based training, to them it's all theory. It's like, okay, all right, Mobile One says to do this. It's another thing when they see it in action and they're like, whoa, how did you do that? I love that feeling. And you can have that feeling only when you actually get out of the van and work with your students, right? Again, remember the principles. A lot of the principles from home-based training, they carry over, as a matter of fact, into in-depth training, like the concept of being gentle, being patient. The students aren't going to get things right away. Not all of them. Some students take time. Okay? So emphasize the good. The third principle, and this is actually the last one for in-field training. The last one is observe and take notes, right? So don't be so focused on having a good time. Like, yeah, we had a great time working with my student. Man, we got ice cream. They bought us pizza. They invited us in. You've got a lot of stories to tell. But what about the progress? What about the building? What about improvement? What about development, right? That's the purpose of working with them. It's not just to have a good time, right? And this is one of the things I really want to instill in you as you are growing in your leadership. You've got to be able to differentiate when it's time to be buddy, friends, and and when it's time to kick into lion mode. Hey, I'm here to develop you to become a better missionary, a better canvasser, right? Oftentimes, some leaders don't know how to tell that difference. And so they get out, they work with the students, they have a great time, but how can you help them improve? How can you help them do better, right? In order to do that, you've got to observe, take notes on your phone. Now, not in front of them because you're taking out notes and like, oh, here's Mobile One critiquing everything. I hate that, right? Take mental notes. When you get back to the van, observe, like remember what happened. Like I notice he's speaking really monotone. I notice he starts off with a smile, but like after he says the door approach, the smile goes away and he just goes through his books. I notice he's not showing sets, right? Write these things down, take notes so that in training the following day, you can go over these things. Because in general, if one student is struggling with it, you can probably be sure that the other students are probably struggling with it too. Again, not everybody, but just in general. So of course, this is why you want to work with all of your students to kind of get an idea of how they're doing, what they need help with, so that in training the next day, you can go over it in more depth, in more detail. You'll know what to really focus on because they may really get the canvas, like they got the canvas, it's memorized, but they may have struggle, they may have a struggle with reading people, right? Some people you don't need to share the entire canvas with. They don't have time, right? Some people you show certain facts and features to, like you'll show different facts and features to the busy mom than you would to the person who's not even interested in reading at all. You see what I'm saying? And so just being able to know that difference, the only way you're going to be able to do that is if you are observing and taking notes. One more thing I'd like to add about this third and final principle to observe and take notes is when you leave, because you're leading a van of maybe 6 students, 5, sometimes 4. When you leave the student, because of course you're not going to be able to work with them for 2 hours, right? You've got other students to attend to. When you leave, tell them what the one thing they can work on, right? So in-field training, you show up to work with them, you take their bag, you say, hey, let's canvas together, all right? You canvas for a couple of doors, you canvas a couple of people, and then you let them canvas, right? Let them get a break, then you let them canvas. Okay, awesome, great. You see how they're canvassing, you notice the things that they can do better on, all right? The next person, you emphasize, you do what you want them to do, and then you tell them, hey, did you notice how? All right, cool, great. Observe, take notes. When you leave, just tell them one thing. There may be 10 things that they're doing completely wrong, 10 things. Instead of telling them all 10, hey, you can do this, and this better. One thing. What's one thing that's going to help them do better for the rest of this drop-off or for the rest of the day? So just let them know, hey, you did great. Again, re-emphasize the good. There's one thing I want you to work on. Just work on this one thing for the rest of this street, for the rest of this strip, for the rest of this, drop-off. Just work on this one thing, right? That's simple. That's easy, right? They're like, okay, I know I did other things wrong. What else did I do wrong? What else? Blah, blah, blah. Don't worry about that. Keep it simple. Keep it easy. Keep it fun. One thing. Just work on closing on the entire set. Just try that with everybody you can. Let's close on the entire set. See how that works out for you, okay? Right? And as you help them get better, when they apply the training, of course, you could lead a horse to water, but you can't force it to drink. It's the same thing with canvassing. There are some stubborn students who are they have to learn the hard way, right? But thank God, not all of them are like that. When they see that what you tell them to do is working and they come back with testimonials, man, Mobile One told me to try this one thing. I tried it out and it worked. I'm a believer. Man, they will trust you. Your leadership grows because now their confidence in you has grown, okay? And so that last thing with the observe and take notes, just make sure to give them just one thing, all right? One thing to work on for the rest of that drop-off. Hey, that's it for in-field training. There's 2 phases. Remember, there's home base, there's in-field. If you need to, go back and look over all of the notes. You've got it in the PDF, again, in the description section below. Hopefully you've been following along. Hopefully you've downloaded it and you've got it right there with you. Study these. Adopt these principles. Use them as you do your home base and in-depth training. Keep it up. Be consistent. You are on track to becoming a lion mode leader. All right. Yeah. Hey, we finished. That's it. That's all we have for training, how to properly train your students. Okay. You've got the resources. You've got everything you need. If you found any value, if this video has helped you out, whether you're an experienced leader or you're a brand new leader, make sure to give this video a thumbs up. All right. That's going to help the algorithms. You know what I'm saying? Spread the video. And of course, share it with your other canvassing friends, canvassing leaders. And of course, if you are committed to staying in the oven until you are a fully baked loaf of bread, make sure to subscribe. All right. Of course, more content is coming your way. We are here to help you get better. All right. Now, again, you can subscribe to the podcast where we talk about how to just continue to grow in your spiritual walk with Christ. All right. Season 1, it's all canvassing material. And then now we're on season 5. Okay. And we're always going to keep on growing with you. This is the community. That's why we developed and created the next drop off. All right. We want to be ready together. Okay. So again, the links for the podcast is in the description section. Everything you need is going to be right down there. Make sure to leave a comment. What did you enjoy the most? How have you grown in your canvassing journey? Let me know. I'm interested to hear about your journey as well. So until next time, God bless you, and we'll see you at the next drop off. Peace.